The opening of schools on Nevis has been delayed at least a week while the Department of Education is closed as COVID-19 cases rise on Nevis, announced Premier Mark Brantley in an address on Saturday, 4th September. According to Premier Brantley, key education officials have gone into quarantine or are in isolation as a result of a COVID-19 outbreak in the Department of Education.
This evening, I regret to report that we have been forced to close the Department of Education until further notice. We have also been forced to delay the reopening of all schools in Nevis, initially for 1 week, as we monitor the situation. This is as a result of key education personnel contracting this dreaded virus. The consequences of this for our children's education and for the ease of parents, many of whom depend on their children being in school whilst they work, are far-reaching. Any contagion in our schools and among our vulnerable children must be avoided at all costs. I must also report that other key government departments have been forced to close, and senior public servants have been forced into quarantine and/or isolation due to either contracting the coronavirus or being exposed to the virus through contact with infected persons.
The Nevis Premier said a minority of persons on the island refused to be vaccinated against COVID-19 and behaved irresponsibly and put themselves and others at risk of contracting COVID-19, saying that it is a disadvantage to the children of the island.
Tonight, we are seeing the manifestation of our deepest concerns, where now the very education of our children is being jeopardized. This cannot be fair to our children or their parents. My government has committed to safe schools and ensuring that all of your children placed in our care are safe. We cannot achieve this if some of our teachers and other education officials and personnel remain unprotected. To this end, I am to advise that the position of my government is again to urge the immediate vaccination of all teachers, auxiliary school staff, daycare and nursery providers, caregivers to the elderly, nurses and other medical staff, prison officers, police and other security personnel. If you will not do it for you, then I beg of you to do it for those in your care and those who are depending on you. My government will shortly distribute critical supplies such as hand sanitizers, masks and other protective gear to all of our schools, daycare centers, hospital and health centers, homes for the elderly, and also to our churches. As supplies permit, we shall also distribute to individuals in communities across Nevis. This will mark the second time that we have done this since the start of this pandemic.
The Premier also announced there will be no permission granted to host parties, fetes, and other mass gatherings. There will be restrictions in the hours of operation for bars, restaurants, and places of recreation. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.